want to welcome everyone to the 2012 History Teacher of the Year Award Ceremony. My name, as Jonathan indicated, is Jim Basker. I'm president of the Gilder Lehrman Institute of American History. It's my privilege to be MC today and to guide us through what is always one of my favorite days of the year. The Gilder Lehrman Institute is proud to co-sponsor with the History Channel and with Preserve America through the Advisory Council on Historic Preservation this National History Teacher of the Year Award. This award is one of dozens of programs that Gilder Lehrman administers across the country, including traveling exhibitions, teacher seminars, access to a collection of historical documents that are 60,000 unique American manuscripts, a website that serves more than 1 million unique visitors every year, and an affiliate school program that involves more than 2,500 schools across all 50 states of the United States, serving tens of thousands of teachers, and we think through that, enhancing history education for more than 1 million students. Our biggest initiative right now, as those of you in schools know, is the Common Core Standards Project. And I'm glad to say we're working now, thanks to Tim Bailey and others, with pilot groups of teachers here in New York City and in Milwaukee, with the idea of rolling out on the national scale next year. I want to pause for a moment and thank our staff at Gilder Lehrman and some of our many donors and partners who are here in the audience for all that you make possible. Just this week, the NEH awarded Gilder Lehrman a $240,000 grant to mount programming in 500 sites across the country in support of the American Journey Project, which will distribute and show 4 civil rights documentary films in those 500 communities. And today, the History Teacher of the Year Award. Today's winner was chosen from the 50 state winners elected earlier this year, who were in turn selected from more than 1,000 nominations nationwide. The next 2 speakers are in some ways the most important people in our program. They are going to help you to know what it is about Josh Bill that makes him such an extraordinary teacher. The first of these I'm introducing now is Maria Pettis. I want to say a word about Maria. She's a senior at Waukegan High School. She's been chosen for the Schuler Scholarship Program. She is co-captain of the track team. She says that she loves watching and making short films. And as she just explained to me in the green room outside, she hopes next year to attend Pomona University. Maria Pettis.
Mr. Bill is the teacher that you don't want to disappoint. What makes him such a great teacher is his ability to relay to students just how significant and interesting, often overlooked subjects like American history are. Mr. Bill's class was where we first realized that history isn't just about preparing for the questions on a standardized test. It isn't simply dates and disconnected political figures. History is like art in a sense. Primary sources are like digital cameras. They are the medium with which we forge our own valid interpretations. When teachers are as hardworking and passionate as Mr. Bill, the students can't help but be inspired to respect and love the subjects that they teach. I actually based what I wanted in a college experience on the environment that I was exposed to in Mr. Bill's class. I really do love history. Sorry if I'm not showing off. Thank you. Yeah.
The other student we're going to hear from today, also a former student of Josh Bill's, is Eddie Cruz. Eddie, too, is a senior at Waukegan High School. He is very active in theater. Apparently he's had 3 leading roles in productions there, while also serving as editor for the school newspaper. I'm told that he actively assists his father in his business, and he's now eagerly waiting to hear from a range of colleges, not surprising the seniors in the room, I suppose, but he hopes that NYU might be the one where, if he comes, he'd like to major in marketing. Eddie, could we hear from you?
Not only did Mr. Bill, who was very committed to what he was teaching, but I had a teacher who actually enjoys what he was teaching and who was very committed. I came into his classroom with an open mind, and what I got in return was an experience I will never forget, along with newfound knowledge, analytic skills, and a broadened mind that will aid me in years to come. Mr. Bill has become one of the few individuals who have deeply influenced my life. I admire his dedication and his stature to teaching, and he is truly one of the few teachers out there who is making a difference in the world, educating one mind at a time. I am looking forward to see what kind of impact he has in our society and will continue to do in our society. And I'm proud to say that I have been taught by Mr. Bill, and I'm very excited that he finally gets the award he deserves.
It is now my pleasure to introduce our guest of honor today, Caroline Kennedy. Caroline is an attorney and the author or editor of 10 New York Times best-selling books on a variety of topics: constitutional law, American history, politics, and literature. Go and look them up on Amazon. You'll see what an array, and they're all terrific. I think I have every one of them. She is president of the John F. Kennedy Library Foundation, chair of the Senior Advisory Committee of the Institute of Politics at Harvard University, and serves on the board of directors of New Visions for Public Schools. From 2002 through 2011, she was vice chair of the Fund for Public Schools, which raised over $300 million to support public school reform. And as importantly, it engaged a record number of New Yorkers to volunteer in New York City schools. It will tell you something about her passion for education and her generosity, that when I tentatively emailed and broached the idea of her joining in this ceremony, despite the thousands of demands on her time, she instantly replied, I would love to do it. After her remarks, I hope you'll join me and we'll actually present the award. But now, to hear from another and very important lover of history and education, it's my pleasure to present Caroline Kennedy.
I was asked to say a few words about what history means to me, coming from an historical family. And it's odd a little bit because a lot of people think I am sort of living history. My father was president, as you know, 50 years ago. Recently, I was reminded of how long ago that is when I went to visit a school near here. The kindergartners had just finished their chocolate milk, and the teacher gathered them around and said, pointed to me and said, "Class, we have a very special visitor here today. Can anyone tell me who this lady is?" And all the children looked like completely blank, and finally one little boy raised his hand and said, "Britney Spears?" I took that as a compliment. So that made me realize how hard my family had to work to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Kennedy administration by making my father's presidency available and accessible to today's audiences. We put all his papers online, and I hope that you will visit the Kennedy Library website and look at, for example, all the different versions of his inaugural address. And you can see how much better it got, which for those of us who don't like to edit and revise, it's not a good lesson. You can hear that history involves argument and uncertainty, as well as judgment and wisdom and conviction. My father didn't think of history as something to memorize, but as the stories of people who faced challenges and overcame them. Stories that can inspire us to face our own challenges with courage and strength. That's the lesson of his book, Profiles in Courage, and of the awards our family gives out every year to courageous public servants today who remind us all that politics and government are a way to solve problems. My Uncle Teddy used to take all of his nieces and nephews and great-nieces and nephews on a history trip every year. It was like a class trip, except that we were all relatives. My kids used to complain about it, but everybody secretly loved it because he was so enthusiastic and he made sure that there was plenty of candy all day long. We went to Civil War battlefields that were near his house, and we walked across the Brooklyn Bridge. That's where we learned that if it weren't for the wind shift coming up the river, George Washington might have lost the Revolution. I don't even know if that's true, but Teddy was a sailor and he liked to talk about the wind. And so I realized that history teaches us to make the most of every moment. Another thing that it taught me was that history is all around us and we can learn from it all the time. Everywhere you walk, someone has walked before and someone else will follow. That's why we have an obligation to learn from the past and make sure the future is better for those who come after us. We are all teachers and learners in our lives. But some of us are better than others, and there is one person here today who is the best of all. Joshua Bill has been teaching American history at Waukegan High School since 2004. He's inspired students to get out of the classroom, as we heard, and learn about their community. Thanks to the research he has inspired, they've created historic markers for their downtown streets. They've persuaded the City Council to preserve historic buildings, such as the Lake County Tuberculosis Sanatorium, so that future generations can learn about this disease and society's response. They have made films that are shown in local movie theaters, and they've competed successfully in the National History Day competition in Washington, D.C. Mr. Bill's students study the connections between history and literature. They learn by doing, reenacting the Battle of Bunker Hill or Supreme Court hearings. Mr. Bill is the kind of teacher we all wish we had, and we all want to be. So congratulations on bringing American history to life for future generations. It's now my pleasure to welcome the others and present you with the award. Congratulations.
Good afternoon. So you're going to hear from three historic figures, if you want to look at it that way. And the first is Joe Biden. I'm going to quote Joe Biden. This is a big, leaping deal. I thought for a long time about what I would say here. And after listening to all the speakers, I knew that I had struck the right chord. The necessity, and I use that word directly, the necessity of teaching in our world and of teaching American history in our world well. Being exceptional at both of those things. Now, I feel unworthy of the title that I've just been given. And the 130 critics that I'm going to face in my classroom tomorrow are going to be evidence of that. But since winning the award, a lot of people ask me, so what is it that you do differently? And I usually laugh a little bit, especially to myself, because in an age where we're always looking for the next great thing, we're always looking for something state-of-the-art, the next answer, I shrug my shoulders and say, I'm old school. A lot of my ideas come from 100 years ago, educational theorist John Dewey, who claimed experience is the best way of teaching. Radical idea, especially in his time. That's what I do. You heard Eddie and Maria say, my students are historians. And in my classroom, I'm just another historian in the room. I'm not their teacher. My opinion has no more sway than any of theirs. My interpretation no greater than any of theirs. When I give them a question, a provocative question, was Thomas Jefferson a hypocrite? I have my views, and I say nothing. But I give them the Declaration of Independence. I also give them notes on the state of Virginia, excerpts from his chapter on slavery. That's not the same Thomas Jefferson. This is the Declaration of Independence. I give them documents from Sally Hemings' descendants. Jefferson is a complex man. American history is so complex. We're never going to get it in the sense that tests want you to get something. So the best we can do is give our own imperfect interpretations, and in their imperfections, they become perfect historians in my book. Eddie and Maria mentioned the fishbowl-style discussions. That is one of many ways that I ultimately have my students answer for these larger-than-life figures. Perhaps a more important question than was Jefferson a hypocrite? What does it mean to have a figure like Thomas Jefferson in America? These are the questions that I think often might get skimmed over or overlooked for the sake of a curriculum or test prep or anything else, but they can't be. And that was reinforced by my day today. I spent the day at the New York Archives and Gilder Lehrman collections. Phenomenal stuff. We've got to bring these to our students. And Gilder Lehrman makes that possible, and they're great for that. I'm honored that they're the ones who are so involved in history education. I've been very fortunate to have the flexibility in my school, from my administration, to allow my classroom to go beyond the test prep textbook mentality in a school that is under a lot of pressure to raise those scores. I can't be more appreciative of that because I think the results have been more well-rounded historians, citizens, students of the world, and individuals who end their junior year with a deep appreciation for what it means to do history. The stakes are high. And so my last quote, fittingly because Caroline Kennedy is here with us, comes from her father. He went through some extremely crucial stakes of his own. The stakes were very high. And what did he say? He said, "We choose to go to the moon. Not because it's easy, but because it's hard." Education in America and the challenges that face us are hard. We need to go to the moon. We need to show our students that their voices matter. We need more voices in the historical discourse. And the more we can do that, the better off everyone will be. I thank everyone in this room, on this stage, and the thousands of other teachers who could definitely earn National Teacher of the Year, but are not being recognized today. Thank you for your work in doing those hard things, and thank you so much.